Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and of course, it's a beautiful Thursday morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Let's move straight to the front pages of the daily list this morning. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with "We've been borrowing to fund a petrol subsidy." That's coming from the finance minister. Says subsidy unsustainable to engage National Assembly on scrutinization of 22.7 trillion naira ways and means. Awaiting investigations into alleged stamp duty diversion. INEC gets 173 billion naira for elections. You can see that story on page 5. And here we have three photo stories. Of course, this is showing the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, inspecting consignment of the Baumodal voter accreditation system, that's BVAS unit, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, yesterday. On page 8, there's a anger caution as federal government inaugurates an NDDC board. Tinubu will bring peace, harmony to Nigeria if petrol tanker drivers are threatening strike over harassment by security agents. Also, DSS arrests ISWAP commander, one other for Kogi bomb blast. The stories can be seen on page 13. Stories above: OPS rejects a finance bill, says businesses' woes will worsen. That can be seen on page 9. Still on page 9, new COVID-19 variant not in Nigeria. NCDC saying that ex-minister loses traditional title for disrespecting Bauchi governor. That can be seen on page 13. CBN defense sale of Polaris Bank to SCIL. And that can be seen on page 19. And lastly, on page 16, Olufason. No patriotic Nigerians should sit on the fence or be indifferent to next month's presidential election. And of course, that's the end of quote from Olufason. Now let's move away from that. And the Nation newspaper this morning is leading with Tinubu Shatima, APC chiefs shuts down Kano. That can be seen on pages 4 and 5. The writer says ex-Lagos governor promises to serve Nigerians. Progressive governors will deliver at polls, says Bagudu. EFCC secures 3,785 convictions. The Penga threatening strike. Stories above, we have more 6 shops raised in clash among residents and settlers in Ondo. Air Force redeploys branch chiefs, AOCs. NDDC barred from awarding contracts above limits. And lastly, on the Nation, Wike confident of victory for his preferred presidential candidate. And that's all on the Nation. Punch this morning is leading with Discos hike electricity tariff secretly. Consumers kick. Discos began new tariffs January 1st. There are other arbitrary increments, that's according to ECAN. 274 trillion naira security budget low. That's according to Refs panel. Fuel marketers boycott private depot. You can see that on page 20. Stories above. 25 buyers invited for Polaris Bank sale. That's coming from CBN. Lastly, on the punch, I don't understand why assassins killed my brother, son, and wife. That's coming from slain CBN workers' sibling. You can see that story on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. And lastly, let's look at the Guardian. Guardian this morning is leading with debt service gobs 80.6% of 2022 revenue. Federal government seeks a fresh 8.8 trillion naira loans. Lawmakers severance orders to cost 228.1 billion naira. Federal government to fund 553.46 billion naira budget gap with spectrum fees and maritime tax. Security to go up 13.4% of total expenditure outlay. Education allocation raised from 5.4% to 8.2%. Only 1.88 billion naira released for capital projects as at November. Government not doing enough to generate income, says expert. You can see that story on page 6. Foreign airlines kick false return of ineffective COVID-19 travel protocols. You can see that on page 15. Disruption in flight operation as group handler collides with aircraft in Lagos. You can see that on page 6. Stories of both petroleum tanker drivers threatening nationwide strike. Lastly, on the Guardian, we have Mbaka's return aside Enugu faithful. And that's all we have for you on the Guardian newspaper this morning and the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Student News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Okunshakin. Joining me this morning to analyze the front pages of the dailies is Mr. Oludari Mayowa. He is a publisher, Global Financial Digest. Good morning, Mr. Oludari.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you. And happy New Year to you.
Which is the same. I mean, it's 2023, just few days to the election. So what are your expectations for this year now that the BVADs have arrived, Nigeria?
Yeah, I still have my fear about the election, but I pray that everything will turn out well. Politicians are capable of doing anything, and they are actually planning to do anything. They are already doing things. When you look at the court case against the INEC chairman to remove him because he didn't declare his asset, it's part of the scheming of the politician to delay the elections and to get it out of the way. So they are capable of doing anything, but we hope for the best.
But do you think BVAS, so far, I mean, they've used it in Osun State, they also used it during the Ekiti State election?
I have my doubts in all of these things because the Nigerian system is sometimes defy explanation, despite what we call tested experience. If you look at your Osun State election, for example, they're in court, they're in tribunal and challenging that they're overvoting. One was overvoting when there's BVAS, So these are the challenges that politicians will create. What if somebody sabotage the BVAS? What will happen? What if they are stolen or they deliberate internal sabotage of the system? On this affair we have seen in Osun State, for example, and they have proven cases of who are voting in Osun State, despite the deployment of BVAS in that state. So for me, anything can happen. So I'm so skeptical about what's going to happen next. Yes, INEC could have done their possible best, but they are still having human beings to operate on these machines. They still have deployed human beings to their stations, to the polling booths and the rest, and the back offices. So we have to depend on these people to do the right thing. And would they do the right thing in the face of bribery, in the face of manipulations, in the face of intimidation? We have the security people too. Do you have enough security to man the police booths across the nation and to prevent food buying and prevent sabotage of the system?
All right, Mr. Mayowa, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, said yesterday that the federal government was borrowing money to fund petrol subsidies, insisting that the subsidy regime had been totally unsustainable. What's your take on this?
Fortunately, this government has not handled that issue very well. They have not instilled confidence in the citizen that we are doing the right thing. And for example, we don't know what the volume of fuel we consume daily in Nigeria. The NNP has adjusted the figure so frequently that we don't actually know the actual figure. And this is becoming because most of the products, the bulk of the products are imported. For example, all the products are imported to this country. We have a channel of politicians, we have the records, but they're not able to produce a clear picture of how much we are paying. That shows there's so much corruption in the system. And yes, all experts have agreed that with the subsidy need to go. But what is the implication to the economy, to the people, to inflation, to generality of living standard of Nigeria? We are not able to properly assess and put in perspective because we don't have a refinery. We are the only oil producing nation that does have a functional refinery. And until we have a functional refinery, we still have to go back forth and the rest. And the impact on the economy will be huge. Either we are sustaining the subsidy or not. Because the impact on the people, if you withdraw the subsidy, or the impact on the economy, if you continue to sustain the unsustainable subsidy, because there's so much corruption. It is so obvious that the subsidy is going to private pocket in corruption circle, in the NNPC and all the rest. So this government, before they leave government, not to leave the decision to the next government, they need to take a drastic step to rectify the situation. Otherwise, the incoming government will face huge crisis that may derail whatever program they have for the people.
There are claims that the Central Bank of Nigeria had a large stamp duty funds in its account. And of course, the Minister of Finance has said that there is investigation being carried out by the committee. But what do you think about, these fund accounts?
it's so unfortunate that this government is so confused in the sense of it, because there are what we call TSC, where all the money belong to government had to go directly to the government purse. And there's an audit system. We have the Auditor General of the Federation. We have CBN report and the auditor for CBN. So nothing should be hidden from the government if you actually want to be transparent. So for me, it's the allegations is neither here nor there. It's either it is a political gimmick, or people are trying to put wool over the face of Nigerians. That's the way I look at it, because there's a clear record of flows. And instead of coming to the public and begin to ban the allegation that there should set up a particular investigation to actually unearth what are the truth behind the whole allegation. For me, it shows the government is not transparent. It shows the government that claim to be fighting corruption is not fighting anything, because there should not be any controversy either within the flow of resources from the banks to the government treasury. So that's where I look at it. So if there's any controversy, then something is wrong with the government. Something is wrong with the system. And it should rectify it.
All right, let's talk about NDDC. Now, the angry reactions around the inauguration of the governing board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, that's the NDDC. The agency had been without a board for nearly 4 years, and this inauguration came despite pending court orders and protests by stakeholders to some members of the board. What do you think about the inauguration of these people and the fact that there's still a court order on some of them?
Yeah, if you talk about it, it speaks to the decay in the system. We have had about 3 set of boards approved for NDDC in the last couple of years, and they were not inaugurated, only to have this last one. And it shows a government that trying to manipulate the system. Don't forget that the now inaugurated chairman of NDDC was a special advisor to the president on new media, and she was posted to be screened for commissioner of INEC commissioner, and it was rejected by people who protest and the rest. And the government find a way to smuggle her back and to impose her as a chairman or chairperson of the NDDC. And as soon as the National Assembly approved the thing, they went ahead and inaugurated as the chairman, whereas they have had 3 sets of board approved by the same National Assembly, and they have not told us that they have nullified those approval. It shows some form of manipulation or a hidden agenda that is not open to the generality of the people in this country. And NDDC has become a cesspit of corruptions over the years. And we thought they were going to flush or cleanse the system when he issued the forensic audit of the account. Up till now, we are not in the detail of the account. We are not seeing the process of preparing the recommendation for the audit. So where are we? We are back to square one.
The Shekiri leaders are saying that the board of the NDDC, that their members needs to be included since they're the largest oil producing area. What do you think about this? What the request of the Shekiri leaders?
The same request of the Shekiri is the same request from Ondo State. Ondo State people are supposed to be the one contributing the MD of the NDDC, because they are the 3rd largest in terms of production capacity. But it's not there. This government has not been following the law. And we can see that explained in the budget of this year, when the government signed the budget and did not sign the finance bill. Finance bill ought to have been signed for before the budget. Government has violated or breached the fiscal policy document too, that said the government cannot borrow so much from subsidy or cannot so much exceed the GDP. So we are seeing breaches of the constitution of the law by this present government, and what only. So it has been the same process. So if Shekiri is complaining, those people are complaining too. So why are we not following the law? If you can recall, the National Assembly, even when they approved the board, they put a provision there that henceforth the government should follow the rule. The act that established the NDDC, that makes sure that those who are nominated to serve on the board comes from the poor policing section of that particular state. And this has not been so. And we have seen protest from Ondo State, for example, where people say no, the person nominated were not even from the hinterland, were not from the creek where they always have been produced. And this government is aware of this, but they violated the rules. So we are seeing the same arbitrariness from the part of the government. So what can we do? They are in power and they are not listening to the public. They are not listening, unless somebody is ready to test the violation of this rule in court, and so that can call the government to order.
But it's just a few months to the end of Buhari's government. Do you think inaugurating a new NDDC member is the right way to go? Because some people are of the opinion that they should have left it for the incoming government.
No, I don't agree with some people that say people should leave it for incoming government. The reason is that government is continuum. And as until May 29, this government is still in power. And they are empowered to work to the end of their tenure. So that is it. But what people should be talking about is the violation and the breach of the law. Not necessarily the government should be inaugurating it. Government could see they appoint people up to the May 28th. As long as it's still in power, it still has the capacity to work. So we cannot equip the government with by whatever sentiment. I don't agree with such a sentiment really. But what we should be advocating is that government should follow the law true and true in whatever they are doing. That is, for me, that should be the real where the question is, not that they downgrade the set up the committee or upgrade the report. No.
All right. Now, a new variant of COVID-19, Omicron, is currently responsible for the current increase in COVID-19 cases in China, United States, and also United Kingdom. And according to NCDC, they said these have not been detected in Nigeria yet. And do you think we'll be able to manage this if this new variant enters the country?
Unfortunately, what the NCDC is saying is unbelievable to people like me. For example, in the airport, there's no longer check on incoming and outgoing travelers to check to test them or that. So many people are coming to the country every time. People from China are coming to Nigeria without any check, and we are saying we are not detected. How do we detect when you are not doing a test for people? You know, for me, it's just unbelievable that the NCDC or the government is waiting until you have the widespread of the disease or in the country before they take any action. UK, Qatar, US, and many people are already taking it. There's a travel restriction on people coming from where this variant is prominent. Since we have the news, but Nigeria has not done that. Even Ghana here has already taken decision that people travel from China and other where these are prominent are to be checked and to be tested at the port of entry. This is the only way we can check the influence of this infection back into the country. And the NCDC is not doing that, and only they will be claiming that they have not. It's not in Nigeria. How would they know? How would they find out if they have not done any testing?
But before we go, let's quickly look at what Mr. and Mrs. are saying. Mr. says, "Come on, sweetheart, you are my angel. You make me happy all the time. Come and sit on my lap." And Mrs. replied that this is the 4th time today. Don't you think it's becoming overlapping?
The big thing about the cartoons are the use of language, you know, and the comic, and is very, very, very strong and very, very actually comical and exciting and warm the morning for people. So, commendation for Mr. and Mrs. all the way.
All right, thank you very much, and that's all we have for you today.
Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
Yes, and Mr. Ludari Maiwa is the publisher of Global Financial Digest, and he just reviewed and analyzed some of the stories and front pages with us this morning. Now, to get more of our top stories, you can follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. I'm Damlola Ukushaki.